Hey guys, and welcome to a showdown featuring the legendary warriors Ben the Barman and Highland Hunter as the Tomb Kings march to the Warpstone Mine to take on the lethal forces of the Wood Elves. Now I said I wasn't going to do too much Wood Elf and Skaven replays until the DLC stuff was out, but Ben the Barman sent this one in not too long ago, and what we know from his previous replays is they're always disgustingly close games, so I couldn't quite help myself. So let's hop in and have a little quick look at his build. Now he's making Obi-Wan Kenobi incredibly proud here and taking a defensive position up on the high ground. We have one unit of Screaming Skull catapults protected by some skeleton spearmen. And as you can see, he's pushed out quite heavily far away from the hill to make as much distance between his catapult and the frontline engagement as possible. So if the High Elves do manage to break through, or the Wood Elves, sorry, they'll still have quite a trek to get to that catapult. Now for the front line, it is cheap and cheerful chaff in the form of skeleton warriors and spearmen dotted around, simply here to chew on the Wood Elves as much as possible, drag them through the mud, and hold back the enemy for as long as possible. With a ton of skirmish cav, mixture of Nekaharian horsemen, horsemen archers, and as well as skeleton chariots dotted all the way around this secondary portion of the battle line, so they can bounce around, hunt out any enemies who do manage to sneak their way through, or support the front line if they need to. We also have double Ushopti great bows, one of which is the Chosen of the Gods, the Regiment of Renowned version. Put some nice long-range pressure onto the Wood Elves, and for the most part, Wood Elves tend to be rather squishy, so it is always good to have that long-range power upon them. We have Ark in the Black as well for leadership. Been seeing this guy quite a lot recently, even more than Cetra in fact. And coming in with the Tomb Blade, Staff of Nagash, we have the Liber Mortis, Fate Buna, Spirit Leech, and Aspect of the Dread Knight. He's certainly a pretty powerful combatant indeed, with a load of pesky spells. So a really nice deployment all round. I love the formation, as I said earlier. Frontline pushed out quite hard, with a load of quick moving kind of tools which can jump and ping in on enemy troops every time they do break down the line. Now for the forces of the Wood Elves, we have an absolutely glorious build coming in with Sisters of Thorn in the front line there and double Wild Riders on either flank. Wild Riders, one of my favourite units thematically and to use as well. Some of the best light cavalry in the game, incredibly expensive however, but big shock damage. Can be looking to try and push in and break down the backline factors of the Tomb King's force. So in the main battle line, we do have a ton of War Dancers as well, taking cover at the moment in this lovely ravine along the central portion. And these guys will chew through skeleton chaff disgustingly quickly. However, they do only have 15 armor, so they will take a decent amount of damage in return. But again, 20% physical resistance will help them out a little bit there. And they should do a fantastic job up against the front line here, as long as they don't get hammered too much by cavalry and chariot play. We have Big Papa Durthu, probably the lord I use the most now, even more than the Glade Lady. So he's looking incredibly menacing here, and if your opponent doesn't have the right tools to deal with him, he's an absolute nightmare. Kind of Sword of Dave, Manticore Summon, and Flock of Doom. And it looks like his bodyguards are going to be the Wardens of Sith Rule here, Regiment of Renowned Wildwood Rangers, and I think people have slowly come around to this unit and seen it for the potential it actually fully has. It's very expensive and very squishy. Have that minus 30 armor sundering is absolutely massive, and having an anti-large unit to chill out around Durthu is always pretty good because he can deal with most kind of basic infantry by himself relatively comfortably. Looks like Ushopti trying to shoot in now at the Wild Riders on the left-hand flank, but missing. The Catapult as well, missing a few shots on the War Dancers. We're going to have an early Manticore Summon here. Normally I like to wait till I'm a little bit closer before I do indeed drop it, but again, it's a good way of putting pressure on the enemy straight from the off. And it looks like the Catapult's finally starting to make some contact, not killing any models there. Actually, no, killing 5. And doing some okay damage as well. It looks like Wild Riders are being pushed back on that right-hand side. And on the left-hand side as well, they're kind of chilling a little bit further back. Models dropping quite quickly now to the Ushopti fire, though it looks like the Sisters have pushed up nicely into javelin range. We've thrown into these skeleton warriors, poisoning them, and allowing the War Dancers to really chew through them very quickly. But in come the Horsemen in a frontal charge, pushing all the way through and slamming on those War Dancers. Not doing actually too much damage there. I suppose the charge does get buckled by their own troops as well, as War Dancers do indeed engage all along the front lines here, doing some pretty awesome attack animations as they kind of swirl and twirl their blades along the front line, although we do have some chariots coming in there doing some nice damage. But a lovely counter charge by Wild Riders as well. Should be able to pin them in, but Ushopti are now quite happily shooting into them. In the back lines, that Feral Manticore looks like he tried darting on top of the Horseman perhaps. Well no, it was the Ushopti, but he's been pinned in, not been able to do too much damage, and of course he's a summon, so he will disappear relatively soon. looks like the front line is being pounded out quite heavily by the catapult. Let's have a quick look. Up to only 7 kills, but doing some huge HP damage. And over on this left-hand side, the Wild Rider advance did get stopped here by a mixture of horsemen and bow fire as well. And those are very expensive Wild Riders, hit with a Fate of Biuna, doing that massive damage to them, have been forced off the field by the lowly Nekaharian horsemen. Not a good day for them at all. Wardens of Zephril are untouched at the moment and just going to be clubbing their way through skeleton spearmen, and Durthu is pushing through the centre pocket as well, and now he has free reign into that back line. And there's still a decent amount of Wild Riders dancing around to the battlefield, hunting down Chosen the Gods and trying to escape chariot pressure, and more War Dancers do pull through as well. But Wood Elves looking incredibly beat up. If we take an overarching view of the battlefield, we have some Wild Riders who are just about to return, but apart from that, they don't have too many troops left at all, but neither do the skeletons either, so pretty even stuff so far. Sisters of Thorn getting a lovely rear charge onto Nekaharian horsemen, allowing these War Dancers to clear them up before pushing once more into the back line. That catapult now trying to focus down the Wardens of Zephril, which I think is a very good target, and they're quite comfortably at the moment clearing their way through the remainder of the skeletons. The second Manticore summon has gone down. Looks like it's going to be pinning pressure on the Ushopti, electing to ignore the Screaming Skull catapult for now. War Dancers are kind of slowly struggling to break through, really, with some summoned skeleton warriors in their place, just hoping to pin back those ladies for as long as possible, allowing the chariots to bounce around to different combats and do some pretty good work, although Sisters of Thorn are going to have something to say about that, jumping in here to try and aid their brethren on the ground. Wild Riders do manage to finish off some of the chariots, or at least pin them in place, but consistent bow fire is going to be raining down upon them. It looks like they are really starting to struggle here, as what unit is it? Looks like Chosen of the Gods unleashing some shots in there, and it looks like they are in fact going to be able to break the Wild Riders there, although Durthu is coming in for vengeance. I think he actually has in common with the dwarfs, even though he's not a big fan of them. Looks like some horsemen are going to be sacrificed into the Durthu melting pot as well, in an attempt to aid the Chosen the Gods from escaping, who are now going to turn and shoot as well. Perhaps no, they're going to... Oh, they're just chilling for now, as our War Dancers do kind of dart in as well, as the Wood Elves consistently try to put pressure on these backline troops. But the Tomb Kings have quite a few mobile units. Ushopti are relatively fast with 54 speed. They're certainly not the easiest troops to catch. They've done a good job focusing down the cavalry contingent of the Wood Elves, so those guys in the late game can't kind of break down and chase down troops. Arkan looking very healthy here indeed. And he's doing pretty good, up to 29 kills, just chasing down some War Dancers for now, and cackling and surviving for as long as he can. Skeleton Spearman trying to dart back here and pin in the Wardens of Zephril, although it looks like we do have a big old fat Flock of Doom coming down, and perhaps a Sword of Dave was used as well. Looks like it was, but unfortunately not catching too much of the good stuff. Perhaps should have waited to a last-minute blob fight, although it looks like he does need to get these Ushopti off the field as quickly as possible, as they are going to rain shots down here as the Chosen Gods pin Durthu in place. Looks like even the Screaming Skull Catapult crew is charging into glorious combat to take on the mighty Durthu, which is certainly something they don't really fancy doing. They may be able to save the Chosen, who are once again falling back to this right-hand side, before turning and engaging with some bow fire. Looks like Wild Riders have managed to catch those pesky horseman archers, who are nearly out of ammunition anyway, but still they get catched by the Wood Elves there, as the War Dancers clear up the remainder of the Tomb King's infantry. Skeleton Spearmen going down to the rather nasty ladies there. The Wardens of Zephril are being used to chase down Ushopti, which is a good idea. If they do catch them, they're about to beat them back for sure, although Arkan the Black is still lurking and could perhaps go over here and save the day. Durthu is still incredibly healthy, up to 5,400 health still, but he's struggling to get to grips with the enemy now. 87 kills is pretty impressive, but these are Chosen the Gods and other Ushopti are pretty hard to catch. They're being little slippery devils here. The Chosen the Gods, relatively good in combat, do manage to beat back those War Dancers as well, who are deciding to run for the hills. Although it looks like the Wood Elves currently... Bounce Pat is pretty much dead even. So it doesn't look like anyone is in the ascendancy, but Arkan's in a bit of a tough situation here. Yes, he had Liberts on him for a while, but Shield of Thorns was on the Wardens, and these guys really pack a massive punch, especially against someone who's on horseback like Arkan here. He does not want to stay here. That minus 30 armor is actually quite a big deal, and as you can see, Arkan down there, and deciding, you know what, I'm actually going to back out of the situation and run away. Ushopti now being pinned in by some Wild Riders, going to allow the Wardens to come over and help clean them up. They should be able to do that relatively quickly. Although a lovely Skeleton Warrior summon is being popped on here. And one problem that the Wood Elves suffer in general is even their elite troops, like the Wardens and the War Dancers, are pretty squishy. So summoned units of basically chaff can slowly grind them down rather effectively. Sisters of Thorn come in for a ramming charge as the Flock of Doom once again goes down. These shop team look like they're done for. Minus 27 leadership and Fallen. It's certainly not going to go too well for them. And Durthu's come over to say hello to Arkan, who, if he manages to actually clip, as he does there, does some massive burst damage, and Arkan is in all sorts of trouble as the Wardens rush in to try and pin him in place as well, although some of them do get flung to the ground there by Durthu in his blind rage. Yeah, Arkan needs to escape, and it looks like Durthu may be kind of clearing a path for him by flinging some of these Wardens over and onto their backs, but Arkan, only 2 or 3 hits there connected, and he's nearly dead. He just cannot stand up to Durthu at all. Looks like he might be able to luckily squeeze away here, which would be very fortunate for him, as the brave Wardens attempt to drag him down. It looks like he is going to manage to live to fight another day. Skeleton Warrior, someone is nearly gone, however. Chosen Gods once again back online, consistently putting damage into Durthu and a Spirit Lich on top. That's a great way back into this game, but it looks like the Skeleton Warriors are nearly done for here. Sisters of Thorn have rallied back to the cause, but most of the Wood Elf forces have now shattered and completely gone from the battlefield all over. And Arkan is going to fall back to the Chosen. There's only a real option here. Pull back for as long as you can, use up all your ammunition and Spirit Leech Durthu to death, and then you're easily about to run over kind of the remainder of the Wood Elf forces. Looks like the Chosen, though, are actually firing into the Sisters of the Thorn here instead of focusing down Durthu. Looks like they may be able to break them as well. So Durthu's taken a really good approach here. I really love this play by the Wood Elves, and I'm assuming it's deliberate. Is that he's obviously behind the hill, but he's pulling him over to the right to hide behind this rock, which is actually going to waste a ton of ammunition from these shots. You can see a couple of shots actually clipping it there as well, as he chooses his approach path rather wisely. You see another ton of bowfire coming in, although it may be focusing down at the Wardens this time instead. But still, some of the bowfire is hitting at that rock. You can see the Sisters of Thorn have hidden behind it as well. And the Tomb King's not really sure how they can win this one anymore. I mean, Durthu is incredibly beat up, so perhaps sniping him with some lucky RNG would really help out, as another Flock of Doom does indeed go down, catching the mighty hero and the Chosen of the Gods. And once Different have popped in here, Sisters of Thorn are completely defeated at this point, but the mighty Durthu is going to be a pain to take down. Arkan, though, can, with effective cycle charging, pack a bit of a punch. But yeah, Durthu is now well on top of the Chosen of the Gods. There is no escape for them anymore. Arkan is going to be dancing in. Looks like the Warden's holding firm for now, fighting side by side with Durthu. Let's get a nice little cinematic close-up of this finale here, as Arkan just cackles, falls back, charges back in. He's going to be doing this consistently, but the mighty Durthu is not to be trifled with at all, as the Wardens as well spin their mighty blades around to reap vengeance. Well, it looks like they're very close to breaking at this point. Not many models left. They've been absolutely fantastic this game, though. Up to 135 kills, and looks like the Chosen are starting to disintegrate here, but a real clutch Skeleton Warrior summon does come in. That should be able to finish off the Wardens, and Durthu is getting danger low health-wise as well as morale. In a one-on-one fight, yes, he'd be able to beat Arkan in the situation, but he's of course surrounded by the enemy, which will give negative impact to his leadership, and he's very low health. He's outnumbered, but he just needs one more good swing on Arkan, who's down to 440 health. Durthu with a good old whack could take that out in one go, but he is so low. He's struggling here. They come in and get a big old wallop once again, although it looks like Arkan somehow manages to survive and evades. Down to 55 health and crumbling here. It looks like it's all over. Durthu actually breaks himself down to 500 health, and I don't think the Wardens can hold him. They in fact flee from the battlefield. I believe just as Arkan dies there, it looks like he might have been dying now. I can't really see from his animation, which would just leave one summoned unit of Skeleton Warriors left on the battlefield, currently crumbling. That was insanely close. I have no idea how the Tomb Kings managed to pull that one out the end there. But very well played to both Ben the Barman and Highland Hunter, two guys we featured on the channel before and really good competitors. Awesome builds as well from both players. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to give the video a big old thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already for more Total War Warhammer content. If you want to see your replays on the channel, feel free to message me on Discord or put them on my Discord. There's a link in the description down below, as well as links to how you can support the channel in other ways. So yeah, very well played to both these guys. I'm a massive fan of this Wood Elf build. It is incredibly bold, and very much in the enemy's face. You have to try and get value where you can and pressure from all angles, and Highland Hunter certainly did that very well. Durthu did a good job, but those War Dancers, massive kills across the board all round. Real MVPs though, the Warden's a Sith rule, a really underrated unit in my opinion. I've mentioned this multiple times in videos before, but saturating them in with other troops, someone like Durthu, given minus 30 armor really helps. And the bonus versus large as well is always very good. As for Ben the Barman, the Scream Skull catapults and the Chosen of the Gods and Ushopti did fantastic damage, focusing down key targets, really disrupting the Wood Elf cavalry corps, which helped out massively in the end game, where he was then able to kite back with the Ushopti and crossfire back and forth, which is always good stuff to see, but also always summoning units to, ensure he was continuously attacking and all that good kind of elite tournament play there. And Arkan somehow, I believe he did die at the end, so these Tomb Kings literally lost every single person in their build and still won because of a summoned unit of zombies that managed to break Durthu, which is pretty crazy stuff, so you can't get much closer than that. And guys, until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.